Let's be honest, Red Bull tastes kind of weird. It's like liquid gummy bears mixed with battery acid, yet people pay $3 or $4 for a tiny can every single day. The company sells 12 billion cans a year. That's enough to give every human on Earth a heart attack, twice. But here's the shocker. Red Bull doesn't make Red Bull. They don't own a factory. They don't have a secret recipe vault like Coca-Cola. They don't even manufacture the aluminum cans. A totally different company called Rauch does all the work. So if Red Bull doesn't make the drink, what do they actually do? They are a marketing agency that uses a beverage to fund their insane stunts. Today, we are going to expose how an Austrian toothpaste salesman took a syrupy Thai truck driver drink and convinced the entire world it gives you wings. This is the story of the greatest marketing trick in history.
The story starts in 1982. Meet Dietrich Mateschitz. He wasn't a genius CEO, he was a bored salesman traveling to Thailand selling toothpaste. He was exhausted from jet lag. He noticed that all the local taxi drivers and truck drivers were chugging this strange, thick yellow syrup from small brown bottles. It was called Kraping Dong, which literally translates to red gaur, a type of bison. He tried it. Boom. His jet lag vanished. He realized this wasn't just a drink, it was fuel. He tracked down the creator, Chaleo Uvidya, and made him an offer. Let's take this to the West. But there was a problem. The original Thai version was flat, syrupy, and tasted like medicine. Westerners hated it. In focus groups, people said, "I wouldn't drink this even if you paid me." Mateschitz ignored them. He added carbonation, put it in a slim, sexy silver can, and jacked up the price. He made it expensive on purpose. He knew that if it cost more, people would believe it worked better.
So he launches in Austria and nobody cares. He has no money for TV ads. He can't compete with Coke or Pepsi. So he invents guerrilla marketing. This is legendary. Mateschitz hired attractive students, gave them cool cars with giant Red Bull cans on the back, and told them to drive around university campuses giving the drink away for free. But here is the genius part. He knew people follow the crowd. So his teams would go to popular nightclubs and city centers at 3 a.m. and fill the trash cans with empty Red Bull cans. They literally littered their own product. When people walked by the next morning, they saw trash cans overflowing with silver cans and thought, wow, everyone must be drinking this. It must be the hottest new thing. It was a total lie. He engineered social proof using garbage. And it worked. Clubs started ordering it because they thought it was in high demand. Basically, Red Bull faked it until they made it. Now, let's talk about the money. This is where Red Bull is completely different from any other company. As I said in the intro, Red Bull GmbH is actually an intellectual property company. The juice inside the can, it's manufactured by a juice company called Rauch in Austria and Switzerland. Rauch fills the cans, boxes them, and ships them. Red Bull just sits in the headquarters and thinks about cool stunts. This creates insane margins. It costs about 9 cents to make a can of Red Bull. They sell it to distributors for about $2. You buy it for $3 or $4. That is a markup of thousands of percent. Because they don't have to pay for factories or logistics fleets, they have mountains of cash left over. And what do they do with that cash? They don't buy ads, they buy ownership. Before we get into the craziest part, how they literally bought a space mission, I have a question. Do you like uncovering these hidden business secrets? If yes, smash that subscribe button and hit the like. It helps the YouTube algorithm show this to more people who are tired of boring lectures. We are building a channel for the curious. Are you in? Awesome. Now let's go to the stratosphere. Most companies sponsor events. Coca-Cola puts a logo on the FIFA World Cup. Red Bull realized that sticking a logo on someone else's event is boring, so they started creating their own. Cliff diving, air races, Formula One, breakdancing battles. They don't just sponsor the athletes, they own the athletes. The peak of this madness was the Red Bull Stratos jump in 2012. They paid millions to send Felix Baumgartner to the edge of space in a balloon and have him jump off. Why? Because 8 million people watched it live on YouTube. Every news channel in the world covered it. If Red Bull had tried to buy 2 hours of commercial time on CNN, BBC, and Fox, it would have cost them $1 billion. Instead, they spent maybe $50 million on the jump and got billions in free exposure. They realized that if you create history, the news will advertise your product for free. But playing God has consequences. Red Bull pushes athletes to do things that are physically impossible, and sometimes it goes wrong. Very wrong. There is a dark list of athletes who have died while under the Red Bull banner. Uli Emanuele, Michel Lefebvre, Caleb Moore. Critics say the brand encourages people to risk their lives for a cool video clip. And it's not just the athletes. In 2014, Red Bull was sued by customers in the US because, wait for it, the drink didn't actually give them wings.
It sounds like a joke, but the lawsuit argued that Red Bull claimed to increase concentration and reaction speed, but science showed it was just caffeine, same as a cup of coffee, but 10 times more expensive. Red Bull didn't want to fight it in court. They settled for $13 million. For a brief moment, if you had bought a Red Bull between 2002 and 2014, you could literally email them and get $10 cash or $15 worth of free Red Bull products. They paid the fine, but they kept the slogan.
Their ambition didn't stop at extreme sports. They wanted mainstream domination. They wanted football. But in Germany, there's a rule called 50+1, which means fans must own the majority of a football club. Corporations aren't allowed to take over. Red Bull looked at that rule and laughed. They bought a tiny team in the 5th division, SSV Markranstädt, and renamed it RB Leipzig. They couldn't call it Red Bull Leipzig because of the rules, so they officially named it Rasenballsport, lawn ball sports, which conveniently abbreviates to RB. And regarding the fan ownership, they made the membership fee prohibitively expensive and only allowed 17 people to vote, all of them Red Bull employees. German fans were furious. They protested, threw severed bull heads onto the pitch, and boycotted games. Did Red Bull care? No. Within 7 years, they took the team from the bottom division to the Champions League. They proved that with enough money and good management, you can buy tradition.
We talked about sports, but Red Bull's real dominance is in the nightlife. Have you ever noticed that almost every bar, club, and lounge has those specific mini fridges with the Red Bull logo? That isn't a coincidence, it's a cartel tactic. Red Bull gives those fridges to bar owners for free. Sounds generous, right? Wrong. The contract usually states that if you take the free fridge, you are banned from selling any other energy drink. No Monster, no Rockstar, no cheap knockoffs. They effectively lock the venue into a monopoly. And since mixing vodka with energy drinks became the standard party fuel of the 21st century, Red Bull guarantees that they are the only option at the bar. They don't just compete for shelf space, they physically own the shelf. But nothing burns money quite like Formula One. Owning 2 teams, Red Bull Racing and AlphaTauri, cost them hundreds of millions of dollars every single year. Critics said it was a vanity project for a toothpaste salesman. But look at the math. When Max Verstappen wins a championship, the Red Bull logo is plastered on screens for 2 hours straight, seen by 450 million people globally. Marketing experts calculated that the brand exposure they get from F1 is worth roughly $300 million per season. So essentially, the racing team pays for itself in free advertising. They turned the fastest cars on Earth into high-speed billboards. And unlike Ferrari or Mercedes who sell cars, Red Bull is just reminding you to buy a $3 can of sugar water when you stop for gas.
I don't want you to think Mateschitz was invincible. He made mistakes, big ones. In 2008, he got greedy. He looked at Coca-Cola and thought, I can beat them. He launched Red Bull Cola. It was marketed as organic, natural, and premium. He wanted to destroy Coke and Pepsi on their own turf. It was a disaster. Why? Because nobody goes to Red Bull for an organic experience. They go for energy. The cola tasted like pine needles and cost twice as much as a Coke. To make it worse, German authorities found traces of actual cocaine leaf extract in the drink. Tiny amounts, but enough to get it banned from shelves temporarily. The brand image took a hit, sales tanked, and Red Bull quietly pulled it from most markets. It proved that even marketing gods can bleed if they stray too far from their core product.
Finally, they realized that if they want to stay relevant forever, they need to own cool. Not just sports, but culture. Enter the Red Bull Music Academy and BC1. They noticed that hip-hop and breakdancing were underserved by big brands, so they moved in. They built state-of-the-art recording studios in New York, London, and Tokyo, inviting underground artists to record for free. They organized the biggest breakdancing battles in the world. By doing this, they embedded themselves into the DNA of youth culture. A rapper might hate corporations, but he loves Red Bull because they gave him a free studio. It's a brilliant long-term play. They aren't just selling energy to tired truck drivers anymore. They are fueling the artists that your kids listen to. So, what is Red Bull? It's not a drink, it's a content empire. The can of soda is just a ticket to the show. When you hold that slim silver can, you aren't just drinking caffeine and taurine, you are funding a Formula One team, a breakdancer, and a space mission. Dietrich Mateschitz didn't invent the energy drink, he invented the business of selling adrenaline in a can. Thanks for watching. If you want to see how IKEA traps you in a psychological maze designed to drain your wallet, click the video on the screen right now. It is mind-blowing. See you there.